Basically, the model is you share the studio, you share the coach, not the workout. The workout is 100% personalized. That's the model.
But nowadays, people want to feel better, not only look better, want to feel better. That's why we don't consider ourselves as a gym. We are a personal training studio organized to train or integrate not only the training, but also nutrition to follow, because everybody has a different story.
You will not see goals or results without the stimulus, but the gym is just the stimulus.
It's amazing. I tell you, that's what we always wanted, and we didn't know what we wanted, and now seeing it exactly, it's just amazing.
Welcome to Augmented Wellness Spotlight, where we showcase Miami's leading wellness businesses. Today, meet Personal, a longevity and health optimization fitness studio in Brickell that is redefining what personalized training means.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Augmented Wellness. Today we have a special episode, a new format that we are going to be introducing called Spotlight, where we get to introduce some of our partners that we have been working with. And I'm very proud to have here the team from Personal. They're going to be sharing their story, the story of how they built their company, and also we're going to be sharing some of the exciting things that we're doing together. So with that, just a little bit of an intro. Personal is a Miami-based nutrition, performance, and longevity company. They specialize in highly personalized training programs, and they have a very interesting model that we got to know, especially as we are developing different technologies and tools for them to be able to expand their offerings. So very excited today to be able to share with all of you, the work that we've been doing together, and also the work that you guys have been doing here for quite a bit. So with that, why don't we introduce each of you a little bit, tell us sort of your backgrounds and how you came up to being in this space.
Yep, thank you. Well, thanks, Demian, for the opportunity. We're very excited to be here today to share the progress, and very, very excited about what we've been working with together with Betterness. Very excited about this process. So let me tell you who we are, and then we can introduce our partners here. Basically, my name is Diego Duhour. I'm one of the founders of Personal. I'm here with Hugo and Dean, my co-founders. We started this journey back in 2016. We started having meetings, and we opened our first center in Miami in 2019. My personal background, obviously run the business side. These guys are the experts.
You always need one.
Yep.
Yes.
You need
well, actually,
you need a
especially
brain
to run a successful business, which
right.
You guys are doing.
So I'm kind of the brain. They're the muscle. They have some brain. You'll notice this. So three former athletes that they're still athletes and want to be active. That we share the same purpose, which is to live 100 years. So with that, let me introduce you to Hugo and Dean.
Okay, first of all, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having us here today. Mostly thing I want to say today that I have been training people for more than 30 years. We are very focusing on the strength training. And the most important thing I have to be clear here, that is today in social media we are seeing a lot of experts, doctors, trainers, experts talking about how important is the strength training, how important is to lift weights, but they are just telling just a part of the whole, So we are agree about that strength training is very, very important, for the memory, for the insulin, for the osteoporosis. But it's not just about the hour you are training at the gym. The rest of the day you have 23 more hours that you must be doing
what you have to do to see the results. So now we are focusing to use all the tools together to help the people to see real results and real goals. So it's not just about workout. It's not just about you have to lift weight no, you have to lift weight, but also you have to do a proper nutrition, the correct supplements, stay hydrated. It's a lot of things that we are put all of them together to help people to see results and live as long and with very good quality as they can, right?
Perfect. Thank you. No, and obviously that is the hard part, right? Putting all showing up is hard. I would say it's. I actually had a call with someone yesterday that runs a very large training company, and he said, fitness is one of the hardest areas because showing up is really hard. But as you said, there's another 90+% of your day that you also need to do the work.
My name is Dean West. I'm one of the co-workers, and let me specify that I'm the youngest in the group. And so I used to be a professional basketball player. I became a physical education teacher in 2013, and I've been training people for more than 25 years. And I have a lot of experience training kids, training athletes, but most of the time I've been training people just to get better in their physical condition and to improve their fitness life.
Great. So let's go a little bit into obviously we like to get very technical and geeky in a way here. Let's talk a little bit about this science and technology and sort of why did you guys think that this model needed to exist versus what you saw back in 2019 when you started?
Well, basically we got together and I was initially helping Hugo with a potential business, a potential new gym, and basically I realized from a business perspective that he was trading his time. He was only able to help one person per hour. So in order to scale, and in order for him, as they both have amazing knowledge, and in order for them to help more people, you needed a different model. You needed a new perspective. You needed to bring technology, and that's how Personal started. Basically, we came up with a model where we can work in a highly personalized manner, be able to help 6 people per session, right? And each of them will work in a very personalized way. And that way, basically, you can scale and help more people. And back then, since then, technology was a core of our program in order to be able to do that, because not only you need experts, as they are, to be able to train up to 6 people in a session in a personalized manner, but you need technology. And back then, since then, 2018, 2019, we've been experimenting with different technologies or platforms, one for booking, one for payments, one to communicate with the clients, another one to keep our training programs. And it's been a journey, and we haven't been able to put it together the way we want it. And
until now. We'll share a little bit on that, but it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy for especially a small business to connect the dots in some of these technologies. And the question I have is sort of going back into that time period is, when did you know that it was working? Because obviously the 6th person. How did you come up with it, and when did you know, like, oh yeah, this is the right ratio?
First of all, I want to add something. I want to add something that I feel very proud of that, okay? I want to let people know that we are the only gym that you are doing that kind of workouts. So you can find a lot of gyms that are doing group sessions, okay? But in these group sessions, everybody's doing exactly the same. So a person with a knee injury, a lower back injury, a shoulder injury, a person with some illness, disease, they're all doing the same, no matter what. We are working with small groups, but every person are doing their personal, a specific routine. It depends of their condition, their goal, their target, their age. Okay, I think this is very important to be clear, because we are very proud that we are doing very well. We are very successful with that. And you asked me in what moment we realize that this is working. I think we realized since immediately, we start, and all people said, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for, train in a group and doing exactly what I want, what I need, and what is good for me. And also seeing improvements all the time. So that's happening.
Let me just add, basically, the model is you share the studio, you share the coach, not the workout. The workout is 100% personalized. Yeah. That's the model. So people get the experience of working with other people and the enjoyment of being part of a group, but the personalized attention and programming they need, right? At an affordable rate. That's the other aspect. Yeah. Make it scalable. These professionals will basically, to hire them individually, you have to pay $150, $200, $250 per hour. You can do it for a fraction of the cost, yeah, right, with this program.
No, and obviously, again, since we started working, what is great to see is the amount of people that have been with you for years, which is not typical, especially in Miami, right? In the fitness industry, and also the amount of times they come a week. They're highly engaged. Yep. Which is great to see, and obviously we're very excited to be working with you in even how can we even improve that further. So maybe let's go a little bit on the training, a little double click on that. So what is it that makes it? How do you make it so personalized? How do you prepare as a coach before the training and what are the bottlenecks that you see?
Yeah, I understand. So? I think from the beginning, I decided to join this journey to start this project because I was working with professionals, and I think to be able to create the perfect routine or workout for any person that needs help, you have to be a professional. And since I met Hugo and Diego, I knew that they were ready to start a journey where our knowledge was enough to help people in Miami. So I think with all our experience, we were able to do this kind of project because I've been training a lot of people at the same time, not in a way that we're training now more organized. It was completely disorganized. So we said, okay, if we've been doing this in a disorganized way, if we organize and we integrate a lot of things like a software that we can control the amount of people that are going to go at the same time, I'm sure we can do a good job. So I think in the beginning, we knew it before we started that this was going to work.
Yeah, and I, from what you said, personalization is not just what you do in the gym. So how do you tie in the other aspects, the nutrition, the other things that really make this?
We stack different technology, and that's been the bottleneck for the next step to take it to the next level, and we're so happy, excited about Betterness. Basically, they prepare with one platform that keeps the programming, so they know when a member comes in, they know what they need to execute that day, what part of their body and they need to work out, and they execute that workout specifically throughout. But there's a lot of bookkeeping, right? And everything is manual. They work a lot to keep up with what they've done, what type of weights. So we're really looking forward to Betterness and the next chapter. You ask about nutrition. Nutrition is a different platform, so you stack different technologies to keep up with programming. And there's so much you can do to help people with combining different technologies. So we're basically looking forward.
Yeah, and also, in that time frame that you guys spoke, also the world changed a lot.
Yep.
I mean, nobody.
Completely.
I mean, I had a Whoop in 2019 or 2020, but now everybody seems to have some type of device, and in a way that puts also pressure on you to connect that data to something, right? Because people are, waking up and seeing how they did, and then that modifies it. Some people say it's too much information. Some other people say, well, it's what motivates me. I think there's always truth in both sides. So obviously that's one of the exciting parts, right?
Yeah.
Because we're sort of talking a little bit about that 98% that you don't see, right? Even if someone comes to your gym 2 or 3 times a week, there's still, almost the entirety of the rest of their life that is happening, and you should know somehow how that might affect that particular training.
Of course. Go ahead.
David, as you said, the world has changed a lot, even from the training perspective. Old school training I think it was made for bodybuilders in the beginning, and then it started changing because people wanted to look better. But nowadays, people want to feel better, not only look better, want to feel better. That's why we don't consider ourselves as a gym. We are a personal training studio organized to train or integrate not only the training, but also nutrition to follow, because everybody has a different story. And the only way that we felt that we were going to be able to help them is tracking what they're doing every day. So in our case, we're trying to integrate devices, technology, to be able to be connected with them all the time. And as you said, the world has been changing so fast. So now we're just trying to follow the right way to be connected 100%, 24 hours with our clients.
So let's talk a little bit about obviously the other part of your demographic group is, you're located in Brickell in Miami, next to a lot of offices. A lot of your clientele, are professionals that work there. They're in, let's say, in the late 30s, early 40s, a majority. They're probably thinking different than someone in their 20s or 30s about their longevity, their life, which obviously is another exciting area for us, given that, we believe that, lab testing and all that could be very beneficial to someone, especially at this age group, right? Earlier, a lot of even doctors say earlier, labs, not that meaningful, but once you start getting into this area with cardiovascular risk and other things, so what do you think is a foundation for someone at this age group to be aware of, and how do you incorporate that into your training?
Yeah, first of all, before you go on, let me clarify that we work with everyone age-wise, but obviously we focus on plus 40. Again, Hugo, you want to cover?
Yeah, because when people start with us, no matter if you are 20, 30s, or 40s, we try to be very clear with the people that the gym is just a stimulus, okay? That's it's 100% relevant. You will not see goals or results without the stimulus. But the gym is just a stimulus, because when you do a workout, you create in some way some damage in your body, okay? Then after that, when you rest properly and when you eat properly, you fix that, and nature is so wise that give you more than you have before, So that is the results. You need the stimulus, and after that, you have to do everything. But this is no matter you are 20s, 30s, or 40s. So what you're saying is true. People, 20s, 30s, think more about aesthetic than healthy, People with more than 40 think about more than healthy than aesthetic. But the curious thing here, it's in sometimes both of them have to do similar things, change habits, do the properly workout. It depends the age, the goals, everything. And when you get the aesthetic at the same time, even if you are not your priority, you will see healthy too. Right. And when you get healthier, you will be better in aesthetic way too. So this is
and also. Going to the times are changing. I mean, usually, people say, when they're in their 40s, now I'm the, or the 40s are the new 20s, given all the advancements. But it is clear that there's a lot going on today beyond, the workout that is helping people feel younger, stay younger, look younger. Obviously, and also all this thing about peptides, but even just nutrition. We know so much about nutrition today that we did before. There's so many also other alternatives to go out and eat out that before weren't there that help someone, stay healthier. I wanna talk about the, that other 98% of someone's life. How do you ensure that they follow through on that, right? Because when they're in the gym, you control the environment. You get to in a way, keep them in line. But beyond that, how do you give them a plan that they take home, and how do you ensure they do it?
Well, we started in the beginning with body composition. So I think that was the starting point. Starting with a body composition test, so we could see what were their level at that moment when they started, and then the way that we found
DEXA scan or
it's a body scan.
Okay.
It takes your body composition. We're working with this brand InBody.
Okay.
I think it's the most precise machine in the market, and so from that point we do that scan all the time, like every 4 weeks or every 2 months, to check their result. But also, we keep in mind that we have to remind people that they have to hydrate, they have to eat enough fiber. And we have an app where we send all these messages to make them understand that they have to create those habits. And also, when they start a membership with us, we send them a nutrition plan where they have to follow, and through the scan, we can see if they're really following the nutrition plan.
Right.
And that's one of the ways that we do that. But we are really connected. Like every afternoon, I send messages for those people. You start getting to know your clients, and some of them, they're a little more complicated with their jobs, with their family, their kids. So I send them reminders that, hey, remember to book your session tomorrow. Remember to hydrate. Last time the body scan showed that you lack enough water. Or remember, drink just 1 glass of wine instead of 2. Yep. Those kind of reminders, because I repeat, we personalize every client. So that's the way that we usually do it.
And that's $1 million question right there, and that's the toughest job of trainers in the fitness industry, and that's the biggest pain to be honest. And that's why we're so happy about the integration with Betterness, to make their life as coaches or fitness directors easier about following up, not only following up as a police officer, but engaging people, right? That's the key. People are gonna now with Betterness, we are very excited about the fact that they're going to be wanting to be engaged and excited about the programming and what's next. And every 3 months, we're going to change their cycle and the new objective, and we're going to test, measure, and adjust, and everything will be much more automated for us and our team.
Yeah. So we're going to actually maybe show a little bit of a glimpse of some of the technology that we developed, and actually a lot of it in coordination with you and your needs. So I'm very excited about showing that. Just to close up and to give people a dimension, I mean, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, but you guys have hundreds of clients. You have obviously a very committed team. How do you see success as a business? I mean, how do you guys measure? Where do you want to go? Where is the future of Personal? Hopefully together, that now we could potentially unlock some value for you.
Definitely, 100% is going to be together. First of all, I mean, we're on a personal mission to live 100 years, right? And we want the same thing. And why? Because we want to be here for our kids, for our family, for our special person, our wives, our girlfriends. We want to be there for them, but not just years. We want to live fully. We want to be able at 80, 90 to be able to go for a walk, lift our grandkids, our kids, and we want the same for our members. And the future for us, we see it right now with Betterness, because we're going to be able to get closer to this dream, to help more people. Obviously, we're a for-profit company, and we want to make money, and we want to scale, but we want to offer a high-quality service that people are engaged and feel comfortable, and improve their quality of life for
many years.
For many years.
Yeah. So to get a little bit on showing some of the technology that we have been working on together, we're going to show a couple of things here on the Betterness platform. This first part is on the user side, is how a user is able to connect all their wearables. As you said, wearables are a big part of people's lives today. In our case, we felt that we needed to create a platform that people could connect multiple wearables. Even myself, I wear a number of them. Probably I'm the exception. But people do have an Apple Watch and an Aura, right? And as people use it, they start seeing that there are discrepancies. My HRV is very different. In my case, for example, my HRV, my 8 sleep bed is very different than my Aura or my Apple Watch. I don't sleep with my Apple Watch, so my HRV at night is not collected versus my Aura all the time. So all those things matter. And then if you get even deeper, is the actual unit of measure of HRV is not the same. Each one has like a different unit of measure. So we like to give people control. So one of the things that we do in our platform is you could actually customize which device you want to measure each unit of biomarker feedback. So you could customize it to your own liking, because we believe that people today are getting more knowledgeable about these things, right? And they're putting effort and they're investing money. I mean, these devices cost money. They cost monthly fees. So yeah, that's one part that obviously we're excited.
It's amazing. I tell you, I mean, that's what we always wanted, and we didn't know what we wanted. And now seeing it exactly, it's just amazing. To give you some context, we experimented with different platforms to connect a simple watch, and I'm not going to say names, but there were different ones that only work with one kind, and this provides so much power to the member, the user, to choose what they want. If they want the Apple Watch for one thing or the Aura for another thing, it's an amazing.
Yeah, and we're not going to spend. Obviously, the platform has a lot of features, but what we like to, my background is in graphs, so I like to connect the dots in stories. So the other part is, how do we connect the wearables to then the other big part of someone's life, and probably 80% of their health journey is nutrition, right? It's we never burn as efficiently as what we take in, right? So with nutrition is something we recently added, and we're very excited to test it with you, where you could just take a photo of any meal and it automatically gets analyzed. Let's see if here I could analyze one quickly, just to show how this works. I'm going to use...
While you do that, how many times our members have sent you photos of what they eat for feedback? How long it takes you to respond and process?
Yeah, I do something really funny, but I think it's a good method to keep my clients on track. Is when they go on vacation, I make them send me picture of what they eat every time. That's a way to make pressure on them to eat a little.
Well, now the beauty is now they could just take a photo, upload it. As you can see here, it just analyzed this ham sandwich photo that I had in my desktop to test. It identified that I have butter because there's a little butter on the back.
And on the bread too.
Yeah. And then I just approved, right? I added something that I think is very important. Where did you eat this? Sometimes when I build products, I like to think of myself, and a lot of people habits, and especially if you go to the office every day, you're probably going to eat around the same place, or you bring your own food. So that's important because I think, being able to not just take the data, but then say, hey, by the way, there may be alternatives around you that you might not know about, right? That might have an alternative to that sandwich, or might have an alternative to something else that you've been doing. Or you should just try something else just to, give you some variety, right? Because you're not taking the full breadth of nutrition that you need. So these are some of the things that we've done in the nutrition side. We're working on more capabilities, and obviously the idea is to connect the dots between the wearables, the nutrition, and then obviously the last part is the biomarkers, right? Like, how does, in that case, my sandwich or ham tied to my fact that my lipids are off, or some other factors.
And more alternatives means less excuses, right?
Yeah. I mean, more accountability.
Yeah.
But I think, a lot of times, obviously there's science and all this, is the inability to be able to prepare leads us to the bad choices, right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
also, there's some biological clock that we have. If we decide what to eat when we're hungry, we're probably going to do the bad decision.
That's 100% true.
So I have a dream in some of the features that we have here where, we already connect to your calendar, right? So if I know that you have a lunch meeting, somewhere, and you let me give you recommendations, I could probably, have the agent find things around it and give you some ideas, that morning. So at least you can start thinking about that. Maybe you don't take the actual recommendation, but you already are, already predisposing yourself to make the right decision. So that's one of the parts that I wanted to discuss a little bit here and show people some of the part of the platform. I'm going to show one additional part that I think is very interesting, is talking about the other 98%. Obviously, we're doing really cool things when people are in the gym. We're going to be tracking them and giving them reports. But the other 98%, I'm a cyclist, and I'm very proud of this particular one, which is how we track a workout and then not only give you, the feedback that the wearable has, but your ability to then play it back, against different dimensions of data, right? So as a cyclist, you measure, not only the RPMs, you measure your wattage, you measure different things. So being able to, as a coach, even though they're not doing this at your gym, but the fact that they're doing this, outside, their training is leading to cardiovascular benefits, it is leading to depletion, or things like that. I think it's very interesting to connect the dots for our clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's part of the
100%.
workout, we call it. When you come to our personal studio, that's your main work, but you have homework to do.
Right.
So that could be part of the homework.
Yeah, we encourage people to do other activities, not just come to our studios. And the fact that we can see now, they will be able to see what else they're doing and motivate them and incorporate it into the training. Because obviously, all the time, I mean, how many times members who are cyclists come in and say, hey, I did an hour,
2 hours.
an hour tour just yesterday, and you adjust, right?
Yes.
Now you would know, before they come in.
We have runners, we have cyclists, people that play swimmers, golf player, so basketball players, soccer players, and we adjust the workout according to what they do outside the studio.
And even, people forget what they do sometimes, so like, they here it's all connected. I mean, if there are, if they have these wearables, at least you will see a lot of the activity. And by the way, everything that we do obviously is all with full consent of the user. The user can select what they want to share with everybody. But going back into sort of your view.
But let me, sorry to interrupt. It's not just that they forget. They don't know it's important for what they're trying to achieve.
Correct.
So knowing before they come in is critical.
Yeah. So let's go back into, maybe we finish on that, how we want to help you, help more people in the goal. So we saw the user side, where the user has their dashboard and all that. Here we're seeing basically a list of clients. And I could go into, in this case, me. So it's you looking at my data that I share with you. Similar, you could see my chart and all that. But I want to go into, and again, I share my biomarker data. So I could choose to share specific biomarker data, all my biomarker data. I could share my metrics. But one that we're really excited about is this ability to be able to create a document interactively by using the latest models that is tied to the user's data, so you could connect the dots seamlessly without having to do it manually, right? So in this case, it's me, the user. It has my data, and I'm just going to press here something called exercise recommendations. So what this is doing is, analyzing my data as a user, is creating an exercise plan based on, different dimensions. So here it says, what's available. Demian has road biking, it has steps, it has HRV. I'm saying use all of it. So now, the system is going to go and create a document and customize it for me. As you can see here, it's creating week activity, recovery, road biking sessions, which is obviously specific to me. I'm a cyclist. And the beauty of this is it's in full control of the trainer. The trainer could say, add videos, add YouTube videos of this particular person or of yourself. If you guys connect your on YouTube, if you have your own training manual, your own training program, you could also upload it and say, do it based on this. And actually, if you take a photo of your gym, right, it would identify all the equipment that you have, and you say, create a training program based on, my gym equipment. All this is not that difficult to do in other platforms, but as we all know, putting it together and making it work every day and be fluid with data coming in and out. And here, it took us a couple seconds, and now you have the training program for me. My HRV obviously is down. You have a daily training, blah, blah. And, here as a trainer, I could say, just chat and say, no, change this, change that. We think this is a great tool, which what you do then, after you generate it, you press send. And now this gets sent to the user and gets synchronized with their own app, which, in our view, is giving you time back. So then you could focus on other things that hopefully could help expand what you guys do. So that's in a nutshell. Obviously wanted to show a little bit of what we work together. We're very excited to put this in the hands of your clients in the next couple of days. And anything else just to close the session?
I mean, that's we are very, very excited. What you just described is what these guys do, and on a daily basis, keeping up with the programming and having to adjust them on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, based on the body composition reports. They will get so much time back.
Everything's so integrated.
It's gonna be crazy. You're gonna be able
Amazing.
to help a lot more people, but because the key is not it's a complement. It's basically our programming on steroids and much more. You're gonna be able to adjust programs and not just tell them go do them by yourself, but it's gonna be with your directions, with your styles, with your own expertise applied to each and every program. So it's very exciting.
Exactly what we are looking for.
Well, no, we're excited. And with that, thank you so much for not only obviously trusting us in mission critical aspects of your business. We take that very seriously as a company, as friends, but also to put us in the hands of your clients. We know you've been working with them for many years, so it's an honor to be part of that journey with them as well. So with that, thank you so much. This, again, was the first episode of Spotlight. We hope we're going to showcase more of our success stories and the amazing stories of businesses that, as we said, are at the core of what we do as a company, which is wake up every day to help other people. Hopefully, we could show how we could help them help more people, which is really our mission at Betterness. So thank you so much.